So hey guys, welcome to my review of Batgirl issue number 8. In the last issue of Batgirl, we learned that Barbara Gordon still fears that, that horrible night or horrible incident she had with the Joker that actually paralyzed her, from the waist down. And she still hasn't, overcame that experience. And, just the thought of this, puts her in a really depressed mood. And basically, she goes over to Black Canary's place. They spar for a bit. And Black Canary, snaps her out of her, depressed mood and, generally sets her back on track. And she gives her some intel about this new metahuman criminal named Grotesque. And she goes, seeks him out and tries to, apprehend him. But upon doing so, she actually learns or figures out something through one of, his lackeys or thugs. Because in the end of issue number 7, she unmasks one of them, and I didn't want to reveal who, was under the mask, but since hopefully you guys have read Batgirl issue number 7 already, or at least, had some information about this, or watch another review that probably told you who was underneath that mask, this person was actually working for the Joker at the time when Barbara Gordon was shot. So upon seeing this, Barbara Gordon is really, shocked, and she sort of starts to cry. And that's where issue number 8 picks up, where issue number 7 left off. Barbara Gordon is standing over, Danny, who is the guy that was actually working with the Joker when, Barbara got shot, and now he's working for Grotesque. She's still in shock, to see Danny there in front of her, but then she actually lets him escape. Now, that's questionable. Why would she let him escape? Was it because of fear? Well, technically, she wasn't afraid, and he didn't run away. She told him to run away. She insisted that he should escape. And she actually just lets him, walk away. And the other thug or, lackey of Grotesque actually gets knocked out, and, she leaves him there for the GCPD to come over, arrest him. And now you guys are questioning why she do this, but it will be explained later on in this issue. Afterwards, we see, Barbara Gordon actually thinks about, her mother. And she actually opens up, her Christmas present from her, and it's actually an old, necklace from her grandmother. And, she wears it around her neck, and, she remembered what Dinah said. She said that, this is your only one-in-a-lifetime chance to actually make amends with your mother. You should come to terms with your mother, make up with her and stuff like that. So Barbara, says, what the heck, let's give it a shot here. And she goes over to, her mother's place. And we actually learned some valuable information here. Now, there's been a lot of secrecy between, Barbara's mother returning and her brother, James Jr. And we actually get the backstory of, why, Barbara's mother left in the first place. She left because James showed her, or James Jr., Barbara's brother, showed, her mother that, he killed Barbara's cat in the backyard. And this really, really disturbs Barbara's mother. And what ends up happening is that you see James sort of whispering into, his mother's ears. And later on, Barbara's mother mentions that she was leaving because she was trying to protect Barbara and, her husband, or, Barbara's father, James, or Commissioner Gordon. But then what I'm anticipating is that, she also mentions that if I stayed, he would do more to you. So at the time, James was 10 years old, and he sort of had a knack for, I guess, murder. And, he showed signs that he could be a potential serial killer in the future. And I guess he sort of threatened, his mother that he would actually hurt Barbara for some apparent reason. And that's why she left. Because, she thought it was all her fault because she couldn't raise her son or something like that. So she left, just so she could protect Barbara and James. And later on, it's a bit more questionable later on about her personal reasons for doing this, because even Barbara still asks questions. So I think there's more to it than what she just gave us, the information she just gave us. But afterwards, Barbara goes back to try to apprehend Danny because she can't let him go away. So she goes back to his place, but Grotesque uses, her knack for, being intrigued with, I guess, Danny to his advantage, and, he basically jumps her. And afterwards, what actually happens is, of course, Batgirl fights Grotesque, but Grotesque is about to shoot a bolt of lightning, at Batgirl. But before he can actually do that, Danny actually fires a warning shot, at Grotesque's head. But then, he doesn't kill her. He just get away from Batgirl. But then Grotesque shoots, him with a bolt of lightning, and Batgirl gets really upset and beats the living crap out of Grotesque. And then we see the last and final moments of Danny. We see, that he's about to die. And he confesses some things towards, Batgirl. And you can say, I don't know, this is for you guys to interpret. But here's my thoughts. I'm not going to go in depth with, what the conversation with, what they actually, talked about in depth with what they're talking about. But basically, this part is for Barbara to come into terms of what happened, that horrible incident, a horrible night a long time ago with the Joker, because Danny was, one of his accomplices. So this is time for Barbara to face one of the guys that actually was there to see her bleed out to death and was left for dead, and she had to come, to terms with this. And my thoughts on it was, I think it was a good idea that, Barbara still had to get, come into terms with, what happened. But in the end, I felt like it wasn't so great. I mean, it was written pretty good because, he admits that, okay, I stood there and watched you get shot. I stood there and watched the Joker laugh his butt off and take nude pictures of you. I saw that happen. I didn't do anything. I didn't care about you whatsoever. I could care less about you. But then he said, you never whined, you never screamed, you never begged, and that felt so off-putting that I had to do something. So technically what he's saying is that he felt guilty, sort of, and he decided that, he should help her, that this was a bit wrong, and actually he was the one who actually saved Barbara's life that night. If it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't even see Batgirl or Oracle or even Barbara Gordon anymore, for that matter. So it was actually Danny's, guilty conscience that actually saved Barbara. And I felt that was written pretty well here. And in the end, we see this mysterious figure approaching, Barbara's roommate, Alyssa. I don't want to spoil who this person is, but generally speaking, it's someone that's going to be mentioned later on, in the Batgirl universe, or so far with the main storyline. What I think about this issue is pretty good. It was a good closing to Barbara's, coming in terms with her fear of that one horrible incident or, night. Now, I don't know if technically this is the closure she technically needs, but I feel like it sort of is already. This is done. I don't want to see it brought up, but if it is brought up again, hopefully, it's brought up for a good reason, not because like, oh, she still hasn't come into terms with this. I mean, seriously, really now, what are you going to do next? Bring her to face up with the Joker? I don't know, because how far can you go with this? You already mentioned this in the first issue already, first 2 issues of Batgirl, and now you're bringing it back. So hopefully, we see that this is, closing the chapter of Batgirl's life, that maybe she has come into terms with it. If she still feels a bit edgy about that, it's okay, as long as she doesn't really get really depressed and, over shocked with that still. But I guess you can still say it still takes time to recover. But yeah, this is still a good issue. I find that, the information they gave us about James Jr. and Barbara's mother is really intriguing. You want to know more about it. And now I think they're going to focus that more now. I think they were building up to this, point for the main storyline. It's Barbara's mother and James Jr. Introducing already James Jr. into the storyline and Barbara's mother a couple issues before. So now we're going to see something more along the lines of, a new storyline that has to base off of them. So I still recommend you guys pick up, Batgirl. Don't forget, Batgirl in the next issue is going to have to deal with the Night of Owls. If you guys are excited to read that, highly suggest you pick those up to tie in with the Night of Owls series. I'm going to be picking it up, of course, because I'm still subscribing to Batgirl, so, But I still suggest, you guys still pick up Batgirl for the mystery behind her mother and James Jr. I see that maybe this could have a potential good storyline later on that has to really affect Barbara Gordon a lot besides, that Joker experience. So yeah, highly suggest you guys picking up Batgirl. And yeah, my next review will be of Green Lantern issue number 8, and I'll talk to you guys later then. So see ya. Hopefully you guys like this review.